Good Friday morning, everybody. It's meteorologist Brad Panovich here. Let's update on our winter weather heading our way. Kind of as expected so far today. We got down below freezing. We're below freezing now. Black ice is the issue this morning. Now, the snow risk still on the way, but it's going to be later today and this evening and tonight. So let's talk about that right now. As we look at our stalled front, it is finally stalled, and it's kind of roughly stalled exactly where we thought it would stall. Not too close, not too far, but kind of in that general area. What we're watching now for this afternoon is going to be a ripple of low pressure down here that's going to move up and along and see how much moisture it pushes back to the west. We're going to see some snow. It's just a matter of how much. Now, is it going to overproduce? I'm seeing a lot of people get really excited. Oh, the models are shifting west, and that really not that much. There hasn't been much change. I think people get really giddy about a snow chance, so they'll grasp at anything. And I'll show you why. It's not a huge jump either way right now, but it's kind of a nowcasting situation where we're going to watch it. The one thing for sure is we've got these super cold temperatures. And again, if you haven't been outside today, we're hovering around freezing. Temperatures are actually falling because what's happening is the air is being advected or transported in from the northeast. So the cold air up here is moving down. So temperatures are either going to stay steady or they're going to fall throughout the day. So let's start looking at the future cast on what might happen. All right, let's get right to the guidance. Number one question I get, Brad, what model do you use? What model do you use? I use all the models, but in the short range, you use short range models that refresh frequently, which means we rerun them constantly to adjust to what's happening. So the model I'm going to show you now, it's an 18-hour high resolution rapid refresh model. And what it's showing is some snow moving in again this evening. Now we're going to go through 3 o'clock. I don't think a lot of this will be reaching the ground. Can't outrule maybe some flurries here, but as we get closer to 4 or 5 o'clock, I do think we'll see some very light snow develop. And again, people get really excited. This is all snow, by the way. The model's struggling with the color table, but this is all snow in here. The heavy snow is going to be down here. If there's a burst of heavy snow, it's closer to where we have the mix. That's where the precipitation is the highest. And you can see by 7 o'clock, I think 7 o'clock is a time frame we're probably going to have some pretty good snow showers or maybe even a brief snow squall. 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and it's done. So again, it's going to snow, but the heaviness and the duration isn't enough that it's going to change the forecast very much. We're not talking about going to like 4 to 5 inches of snow. We're talking about my trace to 1 inch being closer to 1 inch instead of the trace. So that's it's still in the range. There's not much variation. I'll show you if there is going to be any higher amounts. It's probably going to be down here towards Florence in the Fayetteville area, more so than around the Charlotte area west. But you get the idea. There it is. And then overnight it pushes off to the coast, and by early tomorrow this is gone. So how much snow is that going to bring? Well, let me show you. All right, so just some minor tweaks to our snowfall map. For the Charlotte area, nothing's really changed. It's still a trace to 1 inch because I can't see this going much above 1 inch. Could it go to 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5? Possibly, but that seems to be the high end. Though the only thing that I've really adjusted slightly is the fact that I do think this 1 to 2 inch is probably going to be more into Chesterfield, Anson, Richmond counties, and 2 to 4 could come very close to Rockingham, Southern Pine. So this is where we've seen the changes right here, not back here. This has pretty much stayed the same with this setup. So I don't foresee a big change with this. And I'll show you the close-in map just to give you a better idea for the viewers closer to Charlotte. You see that area right in here is probably the biggest change. For Charlotte, yeah, I might take the trace to 1 a little bit further back, but I pretty much solidly have everybody in the trace to 1 inch. I don't think a big deal. As far as travel is concerned, you can see the further east you go, you will run into some travel issues. Southern Pines, Wadesboro, Rockingham, that's where we're probably going to have issues. In Union County, because the totals could last a little bit longer, think about this evening too. The temperatures are below freezing. So when this snow is falling, while it might not be a ton of snow, it is going to cause reduced visibilities. And because the temperature is so cold, it is going to stick to the road surface almost immediately. So that's why there's a high impact even with a little bit of snow. So don't discount the fact that, hey, it's not a ton of snow. That's no big deal. It's no big deal to look at. It's a big deal to drive in, okay? That is going to be the problem. So here's our alerts. Not much change here. Ice storm warnings and winter weather advisories for most of the area. So let's go, and I'll kind of show you our future cast. This is another short-range model rerun in our house. IBM actually runs it. And it kind of reiterates exactly what the high resolution rapid refresh shows. And I'll go through time. So you see that 5, 6, 7, 8 o'clock. Same thing. Same time frame, quick burst of snow. But what I want you to focus on is the temperatures here. Look at these temperatures. These temperatures are only in the mid to upper 20s. So it may not be a ton of snow, folks, but it could have a really big impact on the road. So this evening, there could be a significant period where the roads are really slick, and then the snow moves out fairly quickly. So you kind of get the general idea there. It's in and out, and then it's gone. So just to reiterate what I'm talking about, let's look at a couple other products. This is the blend of all the models. This is the way you should be looking at guidance. And again, I'll go through tomorrow afternoon, just a 1/2 inch for Charlotte, which is within our range. You see the outline here of the 1 to 2 down to Florence, and then 2 to 4 down to Fayetteville. And then if there's a heavier burst, it's up in here. So everything's kind of lining up. Let's look at the Schreff plumes. This is a great tool. This is a short range model that is an ensemble. It runs numerous versions every 3 hours to 6 hours. So you can see our snow. This is kind of showing the timing. So this is 7 p.m. right here. That's sleet or snow. There's no freezing rain or rain in this. And the peak of the snow is right around, it looks to be like 8, 9 o'clock for us. And how much snow are we talking about? Well, the Schreff plumes give you every single variation of the model. Their mean is right around 1 inch. But you can see there's an outlier at 5 inches, but that's a huge outlier. There's way more members down here below that. If we look at the plot of the last 4 averages of all those 30 runs, you could see they've been bouncing around between 1.5 inches to as little as 0.4 of an inch. And the latest run is right around 1.2 inches. So you get the idea. There is not a huge, there's no gigantic shift in the amounts of snow. It's really within our range still, trace to 1 inch, but there is a chance it could be much closer to that 1 inch than the trace, but that's why we have a range. And the 1 to 2 inch is probably the biggest shift in location on where it is. The other thing I can't underline enough is the fact that we are going to have really cold air, folks. We are not going to get above freezing today. We did actually get above freezing at midnight, so our streak of not having highs above freezing is not going to fall just because it was kind of a technicality. But we're probably going to hover around freezing or below all day. And then tonight, teens with wind chills in the single digits. So bundle up, be safe. If you want to stay off the roads, the best time to stay off is going to be after sunset tonight into early tomorrow morning. During the daylight hours, probably going to be okay. But after sunset, that's when the roads get worse.